Most developers right now are doing one of the two things. They're either still handwriting the code, which in 2026 is really slow, or they are just vibe coding, throwing different prompts at an AI, bursting their head at the AI, talking to it like a human, and hoping that something ships. In this video, I'm here to tell you that both of these groups are gonna fall behind in 2026 and beyond, in 27, 28, 2030, in the years to come. Both of these kinds of people are gonna get left behind because there's a third way of building that most devs have actually figured out, but the non-devs, they are struggling with. And the gap between people who have figured it out and people who haven't, that gap is already widening, and it's gonna haunt a lot of people. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are back in the flow. We are producing videos week after week, so if any of those things, AI, tech, entrepreneurship, all of these things interest you, do consider hitting subscribe button. But in this video, I'm gonna talk about this shift in engineering, this whole field of engineering. It doesn't matter if you're from electrical or software or mechanical or manufacturing or whatever. There's this sort of humongous shift that's going on, all because of AI, and how people are reacting to that and how we can make the best bet for ourselves to engineer better solutions in the future, not just vibing and hoping for the best. Let's get started. Let's actually talk about the two types of people I mentioned, because you probably know somebody who's in any of those groups, or you might be the one who's in one of those groups actually. The first group, hand coders. Like, they are not bad engineers. In fact, they are one of the most fabulous engineers and problem solvers I have seen in my lifetime, but they are just not inviting the technology. They are still operating with the old mental model. They use AI like an autocomplete. I mean, that's a couple of years back when AI used to be just a fancy autocomplete, and there are these people, the boomers of the tech industry, the hand coders, who are obviously using AI, but they are proving a line there, rejecting a line there, but still they are the one who are writing code by hand. They are still in the manual mode. And in a world where AI can actually architect and iterate on solutions and systems, I think they are leaving a lot on the table and they are going to get left behind. On the other hand, there are these vibe coders, and they are more dangerous, honestly, because they don't know what the heck they're doing. When they are prompting, they feel productive. Things are getting built, code is getting generated, that code is getting built in their terminals. There are no errors, it's able to fix its errors, but there's no structure underneath it. It is all probabilistic because LLMs are probabilistic. They're based on statistics and probability. But it somehow works, but sometimes it doesn't. And they're just shipping that. That's not real engineering anyway. So you see, both these groups are using AI, but none of these are doing what is called agentic engineering. So why are these both groups gonna fall behind? It all comes down to one thing. They do not have a mental model for what and how they are building stuff using AI. So you see, when you build with AI, like when you build anything using AI, there are generally two layers that you gotta be aware about. And most devs, the so-called devs nowadays, and even the senior devs, are just aware of one single layer. Layer number one is the agent. It is the coding agent. It is the agents which sit on top of the LLMs. This is what everybody knows because agent has been the buzzword of 2026, right? And you see, in this agentic engineering world, this agent is the base unit. It runs on a loop for tool to call the LLM, and then the LLM decides what to do next. It calls tools, it processes results, and then the agent itself decides when to stop. Like, you see, LLM is in the driver's seat, AI is in the driver's seat, and that is harmful. It's harmful in any field of engineering. When you forget to think for yourself, that is where you're dead. But you see, there's a second layer above that, which is a structured workflow. Now, this sits above the agent. You will not believe this, but it is the deterministic orchestration layer. The base LLM unit is probabilistic, but you are doing something, some form of abstraction that is making this probabilistic agent deterministic. Like, the output is deterministic, even if the agent behavior is not. And this workflow is what defines what agents to run, when to run them. Do you want to run them in parallel or in sequence? Or what are the guardrails behind that? What skills do you have to invoke in parallel? What skills do you have to invoke sequentially? In what order? And most importantly, when do you invoke certain commands? Now, this layer, this second layer, this is what puts you in the command center. And in your development workflow, only one question determines if you are using workflows or if you're just using the base unit agents. And that is, who decides when to stop? Does an agent decide that the unit of work is complete, or do you decide, or your workflow decides that a unit of work is complete or not? And actually, I learned this the hard way while using Claude Code. I was using no structure, no defined guardrails. I would just give a problem to the Claude Code terminal, and then it would spin up a solution, and then it would decide whether the solution is complete or not. It would go on to tangents that I didn't even ask it to go to in order to just complete a task which was also incomplete most of the times. And that told me that I was not in control. Because when you're doing agentic engineering, when you're doing this vibe coding for developers, if you want to call it, you gotta be in control, man. Like you just can't let the AI control all of it, right? And that's when I realized that I do have the first layer, the agents, as does everybody else. I was missing the second orchestration layer. And this is exactly why the both groups that I mentioned, the hand coders and the vibe coders, they are stuck. These vibe coders have agents running with no workflows to orchestrate them. And then there are these hand coders who are not even using agents. Like, they are two extremes of the same situation. And what you need is the balance. And that balance is the orchestration layer, the layer running up above the agents. You can call it a harness, or you can call it your agent system, whatever you want to call it, but there has to be something that layers on top of the agents. So as I mentioned, while using agents to build stuff, I would perform some task and that would be properly completed. But the next time it would be not properly completed, and the third time it would be incomplete. Like, there were so many variables that were changing and I didn't know what to do. And that's when I was finding solutions, trying to build my own solution on the side in order to be able to help me build better stuff. Because clearly, like, we can't go back to hand coding. You might call me Gen Z, but trust me guys, that's the future. If you cannot trust the output produced by the LLMs, by the agents, by the orchestration layer, by the harness, if you cannot trust that and you cannot trust the output and put it into production a couple of years from now, you guys are doomed. Whatever it was that I was doing, that was not engineering. That was just hoping for the best, right? So that's when I actually diagnosed the problem. It was always the same things. I had agents running with nothing to stop them in whichever direction. No orchestration, no defined structure, nothing. Just the raw LLM loops making decisions one after the other and then declaring that the task was complete. And it was on me to check. It was on me to debug. That's not how we should progress in the next era of engineering. So how did I sort it out? I made my own harness, my own workflow. And this structured workflow is what sits on top of the agents. It is the deterministic layer that orchestrates the agents. It is what defines when agents run, what agents to run, what skills to run, what skills invoke what agents, and putting guardrails and putting security checks and putting human stop gates so that I can review. And that is actually one of the reasons why I don't use Claude Code in the terminal or in the Claude Code desktop app on Windows or Mac. I use Claude Code with VS Code because I want to look at the code the AI is producing and I can review it. 99% of the times I think the code is right. I think there is some context mismatch here and there, but the coding quality is absolutely spot on. And if you give it the right context, if you point it to the right direction, if you orchestrate it perfectly, if you are the best director, that's going to produce the best code. And that is going to make this probabilistic AI model give deterministic outputs that is repeatable, scalable, production, like production grade, production ready, whatever you want to call it. My point is, vibe coders don't have that layer. They're running naked agents and just hoping for the best. Hand coders don't have this either. They are so not into the tech, they are leaving so much on the table. Agentic engineering, the sort of engineering that all of you should be worried about learning right now, does both of these things, and intentionally. So what does building this look like? What is the architecture that the fastest and the most effective 10x, 100x developers are using right now? Think of it in 3 layers. Layer 1, I've told you about this. They are the agents, the base unit. They are running LLMs on a loop, calling the tools using the LLM, making decisions and iterating. This is your engine. Immensely powerful, but if left unchecked, they are very unpredictable. Layer number 2, structured workflows, orchestrators. This is the orchestration that sits above the agents and manages them. This is where you define the path, where the agents run, when the agents run, in what order, under what conditions, all of these things. This is the layer that takes your engine and puts it on a row, a structured pathway. And this is where your outputs start going from probabilistic to deterministic. I mean, I'm using these terms so much because I come from a statistics, machine learning, AI background, but you get the vibe, right? So at this stage, your system goes from, it sometimes works to, damn, it works every single time, giving me the same output. And layer number 3, the actual harness. This is the operational layer above everything else and which encapsulates the orchestrating layer, and below that the agents. Think of it like a deterministic SDLC for agentic systems, a framework that makes your entire stack reliable, repeatable, and production ready. And as I was mentioning before, and this is actually what I've been building myself, which helped me in my solo projects, and I've actually open sourced it on GitHub. It works both for solo devs or if you're working in teams and stuff. So you can check it out in the comments below. I'll make sure to link that. But in any case, you can make your own harnesses harness. Although, I mean, it takes a lot of, effort to, build your workflow and then correct it and then course correct and stuff like that. So you can just, use ready-made harnesses available. And there's already a term emerging from it. It's called harness engineering. And I think it's going to be as important as agentic engineering in times to come. So with all this information, if you're watching this, don't be stuck on layer number 1. Explore layer 2, explore layer 3, explore the layers of abstraction, explore the ways in which you can make your probabilistic output somewhat stable. So yeah, this is the mental model shift that I have had over the past few weeks while, building my own harness, using AI agents for the past few months. And that is that I don't think about the code anymore. Like, coding problem is solved in this world. I have started to think in pipelines and workflows and orchestration layers. Because at the base, agents are doing their work. If I'm a good director, they're going to do a great job. If I'm a bad director, they're going to mess up. So my work is to create structured workflows, orchestrating those agents, defining the path, defining strong guardrails, and above that, developing the harness that holds all of this together and that keeps on evolving and learning from its own mistakes and learning from the projects that I build using that harness. Because when you need to scale, you're not writing more code, you are just sort of coordinating multiple agents working in sequence or in parallel depending on what workflow you want them to adopt for that project. That is actually what an agent workflow looks like. I know I haven't given any concrete examples in this video, but if you would want to, want me to explore my own harness, if you want me to give me a walkthrough of my own work or how I approach problems and how I use them using AI, put your comments down below and I'll make a video about that. Now, if you're into agents, that is the type of work that lets you compress 6 months of works into 6 weeks and ship faster, iterate faster, solve more complex problems. And if you haven't figured it out till now, it's more of a mindset shift. It's more of a shift from being a coder to being, an orchestrator or a director of the film or the whole whatever it is that you're building, right? And the developers who are already embracing this mental shift, they are the ones on the right side of this gap, the gap that I was talking about. They are shipping faster, taking more complex projects, building things that actually hold up in production and just doesn't work on their PC, not because they are any smarter than you, but only because they are embracing the new tech and having this mindset shift. All right, if you want to see me go deeper into the harness that I've built, drop me down a comment below and I can, maybe cover it in a live stream on a Sunday, or you can actually have a look at yourself, have your own AI agents explore the project and understand what the project is about and what the harness is about and how I built it and how you can build your own stuff. And it is actually a really good starting point to look at how agentic stacks look like. And yeah, if this video gave you a new way to think about how you're building things, that's what this channel is for. Thank you guys for staying this long and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Damn.